Trevor, what are you rolling over there?
I'm just rolling.
I'm gonna have a
weed.
wax.
Huh?
I'm gonna have a wax.
Oh, I need the spoon so I can.
This plastic thing in here. What's going on,
dude? I just
That's a
where's
ceramic.
the shit?
yeah, ceramic.
Dude, that bong got mold on it because you guys didn't clean that thing out.
No, it's been cleaned. I cleaned it up before.
What do you put in this little
That's some
plastic thing in
microbes
here?
in there.
Yeah, that's ceramic
Bongs do
bowl.
hold a bunch.
What the
of
hell
shit,
is this?
yeah.
That's
man.
Puffco. I just need let me get the spoon.
You guys should sell
here.
some
1
shit to clean
second.
them out.
Yeah, those are nice. I got one of those too. That's sweet.
So you say there's a lot of facilities out there right now that have mold and they're just growing away and they don't even know
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
or care.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I think some people care, but they don't have the capital to fix it.
I did
So what do
that.
they do?
No.
They use the
They spray on
technology.
they spray their own hydrogen peroxide on the walls.
Well, the problem is they have there's a couple things that like it increases. Number one, it increases pesticide application. So a
You
lot
want
of
a
people.
big dab?
Not too big.
This stuff's good. These guys are at the top of their game here.
I'm only having
Helios
one hit of
Ash.
this.
Oh, that'll get
This
you
is their
good.
animal
Not even a
cookies.
whole hit either.
Yeah, you're gonna get whacked.
No, it's,
Oh, man. Here you go.
you can
Wrong
put the little
buttons. Here we
teepee
go.
on the top.
That shit's strong. Yeah, strong
Yeah,
stuff.
these guys bring the heat. I don't know. My friend introduced me to these.
that
this
thing looks like a
brand the
nightlight.
first time I smoked hash and rosin, and I can't really smoke anything else.
I think it's the pinnacle. Like when you're smoking a rosin or a full melt.
So what do you
hash,
do?
like,
You gotta
Just hit-
wait for it to vibrate,
pinnacle.
and then
How much does this ridiculous thing cost?
$300. That's
$300.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What a waste of
I like
money.
that.
Hey,
Rig.
I love
300
it.
bucks.
Yeah,
for
you
it.
like Puffco
I
too?
have one. Yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah,
over
that's
there.
what you came
What's it-
with.
it's vibrating.
Some people like the other. What's the other?
Those
brand?
vibrating, you hit
I'm
it?
talking about.
The
Yeah, yeah,
Kata?
those are supposed to be cool too.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like
Did it vibrate?
it works,
Yeah.
man.
You like that, Rob?
It's
That tickle
okay.
your fancy?
Don't want to have too much of that. I'll be having a sugar cube. That's some strong shit. What do we got here?
Like some of that. Oh, that's a hash hole from Helios.
Oh,
That's one of
fuck.
them
Oh.
joints with hash rosin.
Is this from you know who?
It's from Ian.
Really?
Yeah.
What does he
Rooted
call?
in
What
culture.
does he call
That
him?
tastes good.
Stop by.
This fucker's smoking.
That's got the hash in the middle.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
hash
jeez.
hole. Yeah, why not? We might as well get lit here. Look, he's got the glasses
Oh,
on.
look at that.
He's got the lip quiver going. You know it's a good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Well, I can smell it.
His lip hasn't stopped moving.
Hey, Rick, I think you need to have a fucking hit of this.
Oh.
Just one, Rick.
You
Just
smoke
want to
or
make
not?
you feel
Often.
real.
Often.
Never. No, I smoked.
There's not often.
Yeah, I smoked.
Yeah,
freshman
Trevor.
year.
Yeah, because the girl was hot.
A little peer pressure.
Look at that thing. This is like Cheech and Chong.
That's pretty good right there.
That's wonderful. Rick, have one hit.
Hey, put the clap machine on.
Yeah, just one hit, Rick.
Rob doesn't know the buttons.
Yeah. Rob's
You
gonna
want him to hit the applause?
Yeah.
button. Rob
yeah.
already forgot.
Rob, you hit the
No, I know
applause
which
button.
one it is. It's not even on. I'm not even on anyway.
Yeah, you are. Everybody's plugged in over there.
Yay.
Thank you. That tastes great.
Yeah?
Oh yeah,
It's good, right?
very good.
Yeah, I'm Reefer Addicts of America welcome
Hey,
you.
yeah, right. I'm gonna take half a hit.
You should have a hit, Rick.
That's smooth.
It is smooth.
Rick, it tastes better than your cigar. It's good. Wow, I'm got Steenberg
Oh,
off of
that
this
is
thing.
my
Oh
Father
yeah,
right there.
already you can feel it.
I
Go
just
through
brought
your
the
whole-
wife today.
Rob's getting steamed, bringing him back to the 80s.
I only have a very few brain cells left.
I brought his wife.
Rick, if you have some of this, she'll go home and you'll make love to your wife.
Real
I'm gonna do that
good.
anyways.
Yeah, but I'm talking more than 5 minutes.
More than 5
Yeah.
minutes.
I'm not talking about quickies.
Hey, listen. Let me tell you something. Okay, it's a ride, right?
Wow, that's pretty good right
Yeah,
there.
let Lee get on that. Editing might go sideways.
Listen, the best
after
rides
this,
in the world
but
are under 5 minutes, and everybody wants them back.
Ride
Wants to
'em
go
hard
back
and
for
put 'em
another
away
one, you know what I'm
wet.
saying?
Good flavor on that though.
the editing team might be shut down in about 10 minutes.
I think I'm steamed.
He does. He takes a hit every
What'd you
once
get,
in a
pizza?
while, but-
Pizza Bergs over here.
Yeah, there's some pizza over there.
Yeah, it's probably a
for when
little
we
cold. I
finish.
might have to heat it.
Yeah, afterwards.
Yeah. But neon out the mud. Before I get it out the mud, I stay on top of my fitness and hit the shower, clean it up, and then get back to the business. I don't care about who did it, I ain't worried who didn't. I head directly to the back, so I'll be there in a minute. I got expensive taste, the rollie got a different face. For surely I be in them places, they won't let you pass the gate. Post it up, sipping $1,000 scotches with the rock in it. Look.
So
Matt's dropping a lot of knowledge here.
yeah, he's very knowledgeable.
Matt Iarussi, Canna Klean, episode 10, the How You Doing show.
Ooh, 10.
Here with Rob, Ricky.
How you doing?
So, would you say you guys have done more than 20 weed places that grow with mold in them?
No, but I've been in a bunch, and the thing is, we don't always land the job. Okay, so like just because we get called into a place because they have issues doesn't mean we're definitely landing the job that we're going to quote. Sometimes they'll go in a different direction. Sometimes they'll go into the remediation direction, meaning they're going to clean the weed at the end and not worry about.
Oh, they're going to clean the weed with the remediation, and where it comes up again.
Correct.
Right. So
Yeah,
how
so
long
like-
you guys been doing this?
We're in business for like a year and a half now.
Okay.
And how many places have you gone in so far?
So-
Probably like 15 or so, I would say.
15 that you guys have done.
Yeah, 15.
But what about how many quotes and stuff?
how many quotes? In the 20s, I would say.
Wow.
In the 20s. But
so
the
you're
thing is,
saying
like,
that-
some of the jobs are big. Like we did one that was, a large building. We had to do the whole thing. It was a close to 60,000 square foot building. It was a top-down situation where the roof had to come off. We had to remediate all the layers and then
Roof had
remediate
to
the
come
entire
off.
inside. Yeah, they killed the entire crop.
So are you
So it was a
saying?
serious?
Are you saying that you guys give these guys a price and they either have you guys do the mold removal or they remediate the weed instead because it's less expensive for them?
Usually,
is what you're
they'll-
saying.
or sometimes they'll call a traditional restoration company. But the thing is, the difference between what we use and what they use is they're using traditional restoration chemistries that you'd use in a house and a building. We have to remember certain things have residual staying power, certain chemicals do, and those can make you fail for pesticides later on down the road. So what we use is
You guys got to be careful what you use.
100%. Yeah. So we use all botanical based or hydrogen peroxide based things that do not leave residuals but still get the work done. So we still killed the mold colonies. Yeah. My partner, Matt Short, he designed this process using chemistries that will not leave residuals. So basically, if like you go into a house or a building, you can use those because you don't have plants that you have to pass tests on, right? Those residuals aren't going to make you pass or fail tests later on. So he had to come up with a plan to work inside cannabis facilities that, because we have to show the chemistries to the people, to the actual operators before we just walk in there. We have to bring the SDS sheets so everybody knows what we're bringing in, right? And those chemistries have to be approved by usually the science team that works in that company. So we have to give those chemistries to them, and they have to be like, okay, we're allowing you to use this in our facility or not. It's not really our choice, right? They have to agree to it.
So it's not like the old days, like
they can agree
you go
to
in there with some bleaching water and
No,
spray it all over the
that's
place
one of
and
the worst
call it a
things you can do
day.
to mold. That's one of the worst. Yeah.
What, bleach?
Yeah.
Bleaching water gets rid
one
of
of
it.
the worst things.
Why?
Yeah, I'll tell you why. So the problem is you spray bleach onto a living mold colony. Mold thinks it's being attacked, so it starts to sporulate immediately, right? So you want to use a chemical that has a knockdown effect that's specific to the species of mold you're dealing with, and that's where testing comes into play. So we need to know what we're fighting against, like microbial-wise or mold-wise, to know what chemical to use.
So you
to
test the
combat it
mold that's
correctly.
I
on
didn't even know
site?
there was different molds.
Yeah, there's tons of different molds. We don't actually test the mold because that's
Maybe two?
That would be a
The shit you
biased
find on bread.
situation.
You send it out,
So no, we outsource. We bring a third party in. It's called an industrial hygienist.
right?
So a certified industrial hygienist who are like biologists. They're trained in coming out and sampling and actually taking air samples, swab samples, tape lift samples. Right, they're called microbial tape lifts. Those samples are collected with locations, pictures, and they generate a report. They send those samples out to a third-party lab. The lab will speciate what mold species we're dealing with, what microbial species we're dealing with. For example, if it's like aspergillus or penicillium mold, right? It'll state that. It'll state the levels. So they'll tell you a spore count, which is how many spores per cubic meter, right? And that'll tell you how hot the actual area is and how infested it is.
Okay.
And sometimes people are failing testing and they don't actually see the mold. It could be behind walls. It could be in their HVAC system coils. They might not actually physically see it, but they're seeing it on their lab tests. They're seeing it.
It's sporing out. And
Yeah.
So when you guys go in, you guys are checking everything. You're on the roof and you start down.
Everything, depending on what's going on. So like we evaluate the situation. We go in. We ask them, do you have roof leaks, for example? That's one of the biggest culprits in cannabis facilities that are retrofitted.
Which one does that cause?
Roof leaks?
Yeah, what's mold does it cause usually?
All different kinds. It depends what kind of mold gets in.
What it's reacting with?
Yeah, that's
like the
thing.
wood or the two-part roof or whatever?
Yeah, so mold actually can find its way into a building in the water as well, because the spore can live inside the water. So the water's coming in the building.
Those little spore bastards.
Right. So like depending on what area the building's contaminated, we've seen complete roof layers contaminated with black mold.
Infestation.
You know what I mean? Like,
Well, the buildings I see, they just put another layer on it and call it a day.
This is what happens. So the retrofits,
You've
right?
seen 'em.
A lot of times with retrofits, everybody gets excited. Like, oh shit, I'm about to have a weed grow. This is going to be amazing. We're going to make all this dough, right? This is going to be awesome. So they like basically hire a construction company that might not be the most expensive. They might be middle of the road, but they might have only done maybe 1 or 2 facilities, or they've done none before for cannabis. Right? They bring these people in that don't really understand the substrates that are needed. They don't really understand like the roof layers that need to be checked.
You got to have a barrier against this and that.
100%. Yeah. So one thing I always recommend to anybody, if you're going to retrofit a building, the first thing you do before you buy the building is you call an industrial hygienist team in, or you call us and we'll get you the industrial hygienist team, however you want to do it, and we'll help you vet the health of the building before you make the purchase. You make sure the purchase is contingent upon the health inspection of the building, which is done by an
So
industrial
they're
hygiene
pulling
team.
that now, huh?
No, that's what you should do.
No, it sounds logical.
Yeah, because if not, you could be buying a lemon. It's like buying a car, right?
Right.
When you have a car has a lemon law, 7 days or whatever it is, right? If something goes wrong, all of a sudden check engine light comes on, right? You're like, oh shit, I just bought this. This isn't good. This could cost me $3,000 to fix, right?
Yeah.
You know, I just paid this guy, so I'm going to call him back. With a building, it don't work like that.
You get the building, you're all done.
You're all done. You sign the paperwork
you
on
won't
that.
be
Yeah, you
able to-
So
sign
the
the
jobs
deed.
that you didn't show up,
Yeah.
has there been fires at any of those buildings?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we're on a fire job right now, an actual fire.
See?
Yeah, but that was a shitty situation. The place was about to open, and a junction box lit up in the attic.
Listen, if
So soot damage. I mean, it was.
So why did that light up? Moisture, condensation,
I'm
shorting
not-
up?
Because they saw the
100%
estimate for cleaning the mold.
This wasn't a mold job. This was literally a brand new facility. So we do fire damages as well. We do any 24/7 disaster response.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying I would do it, but I'm just saying in general, if you showed up and you said, hey, you got mold here, there might be a fire.
That's how you do business, Rick.
I'm just saying, if I'm going to lose everything, I'm going to lose everything. I'm losing it all.
Yeah, insurance companies don't watch this show. You're all set. They won't- you got red flag
I'm
for the
just
rest of your
saying,
life.
I'm just saying, somebody was smoking in the break room. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I know, Rick.
Yep. But yeah, that's a big thing though. So like fires are, it's a scary situation, but that's a situation where you have carcinogenic material. Like, once you have a fire damage and it creates soot, depending on what material burns, right, creates a different style of soot or a different style of, fire damage. So you have to know what burned, you have to know how to clean it up, you have to evaluate where the soot went to, and unfortunately, it's kind of like water. Like, soot is like almost lighter than air. So as it flies through the facility,
Cracks,
it's going to find
crevices.
its way, and we found it inside interior walls. It
Oh,
actually
yeah?
found its way in. So we had the industrial hygienist do core samples of the walls.
Yeah.
So they'll core out the wall and they'll pull samples and swabs from inside, literal soot inside the walls.
Yeah.
So they had to replace the walls, or we have to clean the interstitial spaces inside those walls properly. So because you don't want to get carcinogenic material on your flowers once you start producing cannabis in there again.
Right.
It's really important for the people that are going to be smoking it. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
And you have to be clean. So,
Yep.
damn, they were almost opening, and then
felt really bad for them. Good people too.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're helping them though. You know what
mom
I mean?
and pop.
Yeah, it's a small shop.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
super small. Like
Oh, that's terrible.
So if we have, let's say, a grow facility with, I don't know, say 4,000 or 5,000 feet of canopy, are people having issues while they're growing it? They're developing this mold while they grow.
Yeah, there can be multiple.
And what's a
issues.
common denominator? Humidity control.
Yeah, so a lot of the times it's electrical outages causing the flare up. So what happens is a lot of these places don't have generators. So like we were talking about, like the electric goes out in these places. You have plants that are still filling these rooms that are transpiring and giving off moisture because you're watering them. So basically, electric goes out, HVAC goes down. You lose your ability to control the moisture in the air. You literally can't remove the moisture. So I've been in facilities when this happens, and we call it an indoor rainstorm. So you're hitting like 96.
No, I totally get it. What are these? What, set up like fans, get it blowing
Doesn't
in
do
there?
anything. Yeah, the fan just blows around the moisture. Your walls are literally raining. Your ceilings are dripping water.
Coming out that much.
You can't even walk on the floors. You slide across the floors.
How long are they losing power for?
I've seen buildings lose power for a few hours. It depends how long it goes down. If
that's
there's a
it.
storm,
It doesn't take that long?
If there's no generator, you're in trouble because what most people recommend on these builds is you have a situation where you have a generator that handles like a third of your HVAC and a third of your lighting. So you can keep your light schedule. So you're not messing with the light schedule of the plants because obviously you can hermaphrodite the plant or mess with the growth cycle. And then you're keeping your HVAC running so you're not hitting critical levels of moisture in the air, which can create mold.
So why don't they have generators?
Because they can't afford them or they don't want to put that money in the beginning. Because like you need like for a 50,000
one
square
crop-
foot facility, it's $1 million plus generator.
All right, but 50,000 square feet
Yeah.
up in the air.
Yep.
If you grow good bud and sell it, how many pounds is that?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. But it's the
Probably $1
weirdest
million
thing.
worth of
People,
grass.
it's just people. Yeah, but there's
Yep.
people out there,
One
that, and this
cycle.
costs. All this equipment costs so much. They're barely making it.
They're
They're
barely
the
trying
dice.
to get a generator, but they got to make.
We've rented
they're
one.
coming up.
At the facility I was working at before. We actually rented a like 1.5 megawatt like tractor trailer size generator.
Yep.
We would rent it before storms, right? Because we
You
knew
rent it out?
we'd rent it. It was like $10K a week, and we'd bring it in, and then we'd have an electrical company come
$5,000
and
a
hook it
day.
up.
Yeah.
Because if something happens, we were able to basically go on like
Simultaneous.
It's simultaneous within a couple seconds.
Yeah.
Couple seconds, and then basically that would what we call checkerboard the lights, and it would run a percentage of your HVAC.
Yeah, so it wouldn't destroy it, but it would keep it cooking.
100%. Yeah. So because if not, once you hit those critical levels and you're raining inside,
They're smoked.
it's the dew point. So like like when you take a bottle.
Oh,
of
you
water,
put it outside and it sweats.
Yes, it's
I'm all about the
bud
dew
does
point.
the bud does the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, the bud is hitting that critical point. Now your moisture
Does it
levels-
mush?
It doesn't mush, but it's like microbials go crazy.
They'll start
because-
growing, huh?
Yeah, you're giving them because there's always a level of microbials on flower
Yeah,
all the time.
there's a balance.
It's a natural level of it. It's a living thing. You're never
Right.
you don't. There's no such thing as a sterile cannabis plant.
Right.
And there's also no such thing as a sterile grow room. A lot of people talk about like, oh yeah, no, I'm going to build a clean room. It's like you're growing something inside this clean room. So
How
it's
clean
not-
can it be?
Right,
So-
right. We're not making like microprocessors.
Mother Nature
Yeah.
indoor.
So people that are starting dispensaries is like we know a few people that do.
Cultivations.
Yeah, we know a few people that do outside grown, right?
Yep.
Is that healthier for everybody?
I mean,
Now that you're listening to all this stuff being grown inside.
I mean, honestly, like the problem with Massachusetts is the outdoor grown stuff is getting a bad situation because they have to pass the same panels as the indoor guys, right? But there's a natural level of yeast and mold outside. There's a natural level of aerobic bacteria. There's things in the
A
air.
lot more.
Yeah, so people that are growing outside are having to remediate their flower.
I
to
was
get it
just
to
gonna say
market,
that.
which sucks because, like what you're saying, like there can be flower grown outside. I don't think it's necessarily going to hurt you. It depends on what species of mold and the levels that are on there. But like for example, like Massachusetts, 10,000 CFUs of yeast and mold are allowed on the flower.
What
But
is
if
that?
you-
10,000?
Yeah, 10,000 CFUs. But if you go up north to like New York, they're allowing 100,000. If you go to Connecticut, they're allowing 100,000. Michigan, 100,000. What does they know that we don't know, or vice versa? Their 10x are a limit. But that would actually allow some of these outdoor guys to stay in the game and not have to spend the money on remediation technologies or have to pay the extra money per pound to remediate their flower to get it to market. That hemorrhages your margin. It cuts
Right.
into it increases your cogs.
You're growing
And then
outdoor.
which you still
Yeah.
don't know what they're remediating everything with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's usually irradiated with like X-ray or ozone. Those are like the two very common
Yeah.
ones, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no good. He brushed us up on that.
Yeah, and we've been smoking weed. Like I've been smoking weed my whole life since I was 14, right? And like
Yeah.
this was never a thing, like
Right.
remediated weed. And like don't get me wrong, some of the shit we probably smoked, some of the packs we got, I don't know, maybe there was shit sprayed on it, which
Right.
sucks, right?
Right.
But that's where like knowing your farmer, knowing their practices, the same thing goes with your food, right?
Yeah.
Knowing what they're doing to the food, same thing goes with your cannabis. So like with me, I always had like a network, like we were talking about this earlier, like knowing who's growing your flower and who's doing what to it, like because there was a common respect.
Yeah.
You know what
Plus,
I
there was a
mean?
little bit
It's-
more on
yeah,
the
but
line.
even back
you know?
then, right?
Yeah.
So you had to grow something on point because you want it to move quick because it's a legal business.
Yep.
You don't want to be sitting around on this junk. And if the better you grew it, the higher dollar you could fetch for
Yeah,
it.
but everybody makes a big thing, right? The people that don't smoke weed, they're saying, "Oh, you're buying it off of the black market. You don't know what they're putting in it." Well, guess what? You don't know what you're getting either when you're buying it legally.
Yeah.
Sometimes
You know
you
what
don't.
I'm saying?
Yep,
sometimes it's
you
even
don't.
worse.
Sometimes it's
Right.
better on the black market.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it could be, honestly.
And if somebody's growing it in their basement, now that we know about mold, woo.
You don't know how many dispensaries we tested that did not. They said their product was so many percent, and some of it said, "Oh, it's 30%." It was like 15%.
That's the potency, the
Yeah,
THCA.
the
yeah. It's just it's
Yeah.
way off.
Yeah, they're inflating it. You think?
Way
Well, the
off.
thing is that's the thing too. With right now, this is a THC driven market. So right now, for example, if a facility's hitting 15%, they're not going to be able to move that. They're not going to be able to move that at all.
Yeah, but they are moving it because they say it's 30% on the package. That's what they're selling.
No, but that's what I'm saying. They're doing these things because to move the product. So they're going to great
Yeah.
lengths.
Well,
to
they can.
lie,
They can. Are
you know?
they? Are
Yeah,
they?
it
Are
sucks,
these
you know?
places that are testing this stuff for them? Are they biased? They can't be straight.
See, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I know there's ethical labs,
Yeah.
but I'm sure there's some that aren't. You know what I mean? And the data will show that, though.
Well, how do you?
Like, the data doesn't lie, so, like, anybody can follow that data and look at that data over time and be like, okay, you know, what labs are giving out favorable results?
Jeff said
You know
that
what I
too.
mean? Like,
Dr. Jeff said the same
data,
exact
well,
thing.
I listen to these guys, too. Like, these guys talk about real shit, you know, like Jeff does, and, like, it...
Oh, you like Dr. Jeff too?
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Yeah, but it's like he's talking about sound information. If you
I
follow
wish
the
we had him
data-
here today.
Doesn't lie. Yeah, it'd be good to have him. Maybe we all get together again sometime.
He's
You know what
great.
I mean?
So
Yeah.
we're not mentioning any names, but have you gone to some facilities where you purchased from and you might not go back?
Yeah, I mean, I've gone into some that I'm like, I'm definitely not going to smoke their weed.
It's almost like
yeah,
For sure?
sure.
Like it's that bad, huh?
yeah, for sure,
And
100%.
and you
Yeah.
know it's bad, and they know it's bad, and they're still pushing it.
Yeah, because the thing is, and it's like it's hard to say like who's pushing it because, like, for example, I was a head grower for a while, right? And I was growing weed in a facility that was contaminated, and we were doing everything we could to fix the facility, right? And it's not up to some of the people on the ground what happens to the weed. It's the people above that, right?
Right.
So, like, at the end of the day, like, I feel bad for some of these people. Like, some of these growers, they took a job, they're in a facility, and they're like, all of a sudden they have a contamination problem. But it's not really something that they're doing.
Right.
Right? It's something that happened due to a facility problem. So I like feel for these people, right? But at the same time, like, you know, you have to you have to solve for root cause.
it comes
You
from the
have
top.
to.
Well,
have
you
to.
also can't
Yeah.
blame the owners, right?
Yeah, no,
because they gotta make their money.
Right. Well,
They
What
have
do you
to.
mean you can't blame
Especially-
them? They built a...
It's like
Would you say...
I'm not saying listen, obviously, right? You can't put shit out there that's gonna hurt people, and we're saying that, but you
shouldn't.
right?
You know.
That's what I'm saying. Well, then who's fault? Who's looking over it? The owner's looking over his
Listen,
company.
you ate
Should be.
some you ate some bread with a little blue on it, and just cut out the ends, right?
it's the captain of the ship theory. If the ship's something wrong with the ship, I don't care what
There's
part
wrong
of the
with
ship.
it.
It's the
Make too much
captain's
bread.
fault,
Gotta handle
and
it.
that's
Yeah.
the owner. Goes
Yeah.
back to the owner.
Yeah, and the thing is,
But it's
like,
a lot of corporate America that owns these places.
Yeah, I mean, some of the big guys. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, so if I come in, it's like, look at it this way, right? Say you were an owner, and you're like, all right, I'm failing from mold. We're having a problem here, right? And I come in and I'm like, all right, I can quote you on this. I can bring an industrial hygiene team in, right? These things cost money, right? And depending
lot
on
of
what
money.
it could. It depends on the square footage of the building, right? And how deep it goes. Like a job could go from 20,000 upwards to $1 million. It depends on how big of square footage you're
two
dealing
commas.
with, right? Like it all depends what the situation is. If there's demo involved, if you're removing walls, like there's it's just labor and time, right?
And that's not
Right.
including what they're losing
right
in product.
for downtime because they can't grow during that time. So they're hemorrhaging, right? So if I came to you and was like, okay, let's solve for root cause, like what we do, what Canna Klean does. We
Yeah.
come in and actually fix the building. Or you could get a remediation machine and leave the building how the way it is and still get your weed to market. And you could do that for 10% of the cost.
They get the remediation machine.
Of course.
Or pay somebody to
no brainer.
It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Right? And I'm
Run
I'm
it through the mail.
I'm not saying like I'm not saying
be a
like
fire.
I
Without a doubt.
respect. I'm
Everything
saying
would
that
be-
like that's the choice they're having to make, and it's like that wouldn't
Well,
be the choice.
wouldn't you do the same? I mean,
No, I
you know,
wouldn't, because here's why. Because people are saying that they're decontaminating the weed. They're not decontaminating the weed. They're neutralizing the living microbiome on the weed and then selling you dead skeletons of these microbiology that is dead, neutralized to pass testing It's not cleaning it though. It's still there. It's just neutralized. So then it comes down to water activity, right? So water activity is basically that the water activity of flour. It's a little different than moisture content, and it's kind of like similar to like relative humidity of the interior of flour, and it's the water activity influences microbial and mold growth
Right.
as it's packaged. So like when you package that weed and it sits on a shelf,
If it's got water in it, you got a problem.
water activity itself influences growth of mold and microbial colonies on the flower as it sits on a shelf. Similar to like shelf life testing for like a gummy bear, right? Like a Haribo gummy bear, it has to have a specific water activity per how long.
I didn't know
the
gummy
shelf
bears had a
life is.
shelf life.
Oh yeah, everything has a
Rob
shelf life.
clears them out every time he goes in
McDonald's doesn't
there.
have a
Yeah,
shelf life.
but you know
Is
what I
that why
mean?
nobody buys
I
these
thought
out
gummy
every
bears
time?
were like a Twinkie. You could have a nuclear war and it would be fine.
No, I mean it may be, but like everything has a shelf. Everything has a date, expiration date.
Not Twinkies.
So with weed has a 1-year expiration date in Massachusetts, right?
Yep.
But water activity is not something that you have to test for yet. But the CCC's talked about it. The reason being is you can neutralize weed with a remediation machine, right?
Right.
Now your water activity is not right. Now sometimes
Will that mold reactivate?
it reactivates in the package. So what happens is
Reactivation.
Yep. So what happens is you're neutralizing what's on that flower to get below the CFU count that's allowed in mass. What if you only bring it down to 2,000 and then the water activity is wrong? Now you put it on the shelf for 6 months. If you go retest that flower that's been held above a 0.65 water activity that only got brought down to 2,000, I can guarantee you that it's grown.
You tell me in the package itself it's growing
100%.
with only so much air?
It doesn't. It's not just about air. It's about the organic material and the moisture that it needs.
Doesn't organic material need air to grow?
I mean, there's air inside that package.
Yeah, but I mean, wouldn't it
unless you're
use up?
extracting the air?
Maybe it's it's got its own little ecosystem
hey,
in there.
microscopic.
Next time you do,
know?
just give one of these.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying
Before
is like you
blow
got
it,
a
you're fine.
package that's sealed, right?
Yeah, it's sealed, but like they're not taking the air out of it. So like even in like a Mylar or whatever, there's still air inside the package.
Right.
Like somebody's packing this up or a packaging machine is dropping buds.
So you're saying that little moisture, if there's microbes in there that's ready to grow, they're gonna grow.
Yeah, 100%.
If it's above a certain water content.
Oh,
Yeah,
great!
you'll-
That's like a
yeah.
shark in the ocean.
And you'll
Once
see
you
it.
open the package.
Yeah, you'll see it. You'll see it in Cali. You know what I mean? Like you'll literally see it. Like they do shelf life testing. You'll see it in Colorado. They do shelf life testing there too.
They don't do it
Not
mass.
shelf life, it's shelf testing.
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
so they'll go in and secret shop a company.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you'll see a recall. You'll see, oh, company XYZ just got recalled for aspergillus because they didn't pay attention to water activity, or they're neutralizing their product, not holding it at the right water
They're
activity.
remediating it, you mean?
Yeah, they could be. There's a lot of possibilities, but then they're selling it and then they're getting recalled later on because 6 months down the line, that product's hot. It might have passed testing at the lab, but they didn't actually treat the product correctly. So now it's sitting on the shelf.
Because it was too moist.
How much does a
salmon,
remediation machine cost?
I'm not 100% positive
Yeah.
on the prices. Yeah.
Ballpark?
I don't know. He said it could be
I would say
a 1 to 10% of what it would cost for them to actually
Yeah,
fix
if
the
you-
building.
yeah,
To
probably.
actually run it. Because there's companies out there now that own the machine and they run
them. They rent.
They rent it out?
Yeah, they push them.
We got-
Yeah.
We need to get a rent. We might need
No,
a rental.
you're talking about the companies that buy the machine and then they outsource their. Yeah. That's a lot. That's happening right now too.
Yeah. They're bringing in product. And
So
just
they
running
come
it
in,
through
they
the
don't want to pay
remediation mill.
$200,000. They'll go spend $40,000 for the remediation machine.
Yeah,
huh?
or I'll have the remediation machine, and then you have a grow as well,
Right.
and you fail product, but you don't have the money to buy a remediation machine, so you send it to me for cleaning, and I send it back to you. Once it's clean, you send
And
it
then
out.
you test it out.
Yeah.
Because once you test it out, if you can't remediate it before you send it, you have to remediate it before you send it, not after.
No, so this is how it works. So in mass, a lot of people do what they call a kill step. So before you send the product out for testing,
They
it's
remediate
a
it.
kill step.
I thought you had to report it if you did it.
fail and then remediate it and send out a second test, you get what they call the scarlet letter, and you get a red R that follows the metric tag, so all the buyers know you remediated that batch. So people are remediating the
If
batch.
before they send it out.
Correct.
Yeah. If you remediate it before you send it for
all
testing,
set.
there's no tag.
There's
You're
no
all
tag.
set.
But then once you send it
But you
out
still
and
get shit
fail,
on it, though.
it comes back.
So that's what everybody's doing.
So they're remediating before it
Of course.
comes out
I mean,
too.
if you're in the looking at a business
you
standpoint, that would be the way to do
You're
it.
still really not testing it because you're just fucking with the test.
yeah,
'Cause
you
now
just-
you're still you're still
killed
sending
everything.
bad shit.
or reduced it.
It's almost like you're fixing a race.
Yep. And
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like fix. It's like the fix. It's like fixing a sports game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of white envelopes going around.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if you look at this in a
Envelopes
corporate America
crazy.
standpoint, and you have millions of dollars, you're going to lose millions of dollars. I'll say even to a millionaire, $100,000 is a lot of money to them. I mean, but what I'm saying is, I would probably get the remediation machine too.
So in Mass, you were just talking about this. Are they spot checking in Mass on the shelf?
As far as
Do
I
they have
know,
a program?
Not yet, but they talk about secret shopper program, but what that really pertains to and what I've read in the regs was more making sure people that are buying the flower or the products are 21. Just like how they do the stings on
Oh,
liquor
for the
stores.
cigarette?
Same
So
thing.
they're actually not buying the stuff to
No,
retest
as far
it
as
for
I know, not yet.
any shady lab stuff
Nope.
or
Nope,
brand stuff. Or
But with all the stuff that's getting shaken up within their situation right now that I've been seeing online with the CCC, they might be starting things like that eventually. And like I've been telling operators, like when I talk to people about mold remediation, or even if people just talk to me about like how to grow cleaner, right, and things
Yep,
like that,
yep.
I always tell them stay ahead of the regulation. So if all of a sudden they start doing shelf testing,
Yep.
your facility's clean. You
Right.
don't have to worry. You can get a water activity meter. They cost like 12 to 15,000 for a good one from Meter Group, right? They sell this tabletop unit. You can grind up your weed, you put it in, slide it into this little compartment, and it actually gives you a reading of your water activity.
So what's water activity to water content? What's the difference?
Water content is more like moisture content. Water activity, there's like
Is
there's-
how
there's
much
free-
water's
there's
in
free
it?
water and bound water. This is like the bound water that's inside the actual flower that
So it
can
complete-
influence the growth of microbes.
So do they measure a percentage of moisture when it was dried, so that like they put it on a scale and they dry it out?
I'm
and when
not
it's
100%
dry,
sure how
they
the
gotta
machine
wait.
how the machine works. It's a little different than moisture content, but it's I think it does heat it up slightly, but you have to chop up the flour with scissors first, put it into this little cup, put it into the machine, and then the machine, I mean it's this is technical stuff made for food. It's specific for food, but they've used it now for weed. So when I was on scale, we had one, and we were pulling down like 450 pounds a week every Tuesday. Boom, boom, a biomass, right? And basically, you're drying 400 pounds of weed. It's nerve wracking as hell.
Right.
So we had this machine. So during the hang dry, my team was taking water activity readings throughout the first few days, and they're recording it right as we go. Because I had a specific number I wanted them to hit before we buck and bin the product.
No shit.
Yeah, and once you buck and bin the product, you still take water activity readings as you're doing your burp, and you're getting what's called as equalization. You're equalizing because you're going to have larger buds, smaller buds, all in the same bin, right?
Yeah.
So the larger buds are going to be obviously wetter than a smaller bud is, right? As it's drying on the stalk.
They're gonna
right?
hold more.
Exactly. So, but once you put everything into a bin and close the bin,
It equalizes.
it equalizes, and some
Yeah,
of the
relative-
larger buds
like
start to
relative
wet
humidity.
the smaller buds,
Right.
right? And things start to equalize inside. Then you need to burp that moisture out, and that's that part of that process that we're
And don't you have to burp it because like the chlorophyll breaking down? And
absolutely. There's a chemical
there's a
reaction
gas.
occurring. Yeah, and there's a
Yep.
gas, like there's gas inside that you want to release, because if not, it's gonna give you that like hay smell over time.
We've got a lot of strains from dispensaries, and we open it, smell just like a hay bale.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That
Like
can
like they're
happen.
bagging it up too
Like
wet.
you were
Or
at
they're
the
drying
you were at
it
the
too
farm.
much, right? They're just over drying it to death.
I don't know. It just seems like it smells like
terps.
so a little bit, but it's like wet. It's still like wet, and it's just like it's got the
Smells
scale.
like you're at the
And it-
farm.
and, it
Gross.
looks like the bud's stale. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Looking, it's
yeah.
got like that tinge to it.
Is eventually they're gonna have to do like a process that everybody has to follow to
They do have
to
process.
eliminate mold and all the other crap.
Well, they do have processes through the testing facilities, the state labs, licensed labs that
No,
are
but I'm saying
private
the-
entities.
the
that people have-
facilities themselves that they have to follow.
Well, that's the thing, is like that's where I think the
There are
education
guidelines.
side- yeah, and I think the CCC.
Well, obviously, they're not working.
Well,
No, that's
Yeah.
it's a new industry, so it's like
It's the Wild Wild West.
The industry's
Yeah, it
messed
is.
up,
It is.
so it's got to fix itself like any new industry. Alcohol's been around for fucking 1,000 years.
And they still ain't fixed that.
yeah.
the regulators are getting educated, so it takes time for that to occur. So like they usually look to more mature markets. They're going to look west and be like, okay, Michigan, Colorado, Washington, California, what are you guys doing, right? That's what these regulators should be doing out east. They should be going to those markets and learning from these other regulators, right? Like,
Well, they did
there's
that-
Yeah, but we heard a lot of the regulators don't know shit either.
No, but that's the thing. Is like,
Then we have a.
you mean
what
out west?
episode was that?
You mean
right?
out west?
No, not out west. Around
Well,
here.
I don't know. They got a
People,
they got a
people putting
debacle.
We
the
heard who
people
appoints
putting the
the regulators in
regulations
in
right, are put in
Massachusetts.
place because it's a job, but they really don't know their shit.
No,
Well, they're not familiar with
That's like
cannabis.
making
That's
me a
why he
regulator.
says they got to get set up and they got to learn the
Educate.
industry. They got to get educated,
Yep.
and then they look out west. But out west, their testing's all messed up too. They just had a big article.
pesticide issues.
Yeah,
and Cali and stuff like
pesticides.
that. Yeah.
So it's like like the drug test in Major League Sports. They stay one step ahead of the testing. They change it. You figure out what, because they're not testing for every single pesticide.
They got all
There's
new
probably all
better
juice
shit.
heads that know the shit.
So pretty much you can almost say that almost all these dispensaries use a remediation machine.
No, not all of them. Definitely not.
But a lot
I
of them?
think no. I think
And
a
the
lot
cultivators and
I
the
think a lot of the
manufacturers.
larger operators are using them. You know, the larger like big multi-state
The
guys.
are we talking
But how
about
much of the
corporate
mo-
America
the
again?
big corporate ones. Yeah.
But how
You
much of the
know it,
market?
yeah.
But how much of the market share they make up for?
Depends. I mean, some
know?
of them a good amount.
And in Mass, they kind of priced it out for anybody local to really get into it. Like you got to be the smallest cultivation, you need like $5 million in your
Yeah,
your
but according to
bankroll.
what Jeff said, nobody knows still what's in your shit, right? Even if they mediated, whatever the frick that word was. What do you guys say? Remediate?
Oh yeah, because cannabis testings, they haven't done much cannabis testing. So like all the flagellates or whatever, like you know how like cannabinoids is 19. You know they test for 19 of them, but there's others.
Yep.
But they don't even know that it's the THCA that gets you high. You know, it's all the other.
Yep.
John Napoli from Quincy Cannabis Co.
Yeah, John Napoli. He's the one that owns the Hempus, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
a good- yeah,
He was
yeah.
talking about it that the like 400 like flagellates or something that make up actually cannabis, like all the compounds, but they're so minute, a lot of them, that they don't really have testing or they
Yeah, the
don't have
science
enough
isn't
funding
there yet. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. They're still. I mean, they're learning so much about the plant itself. I mean, it's they're learning about all these.
But
different
that's something
cannabinoids,
different, you know. But Canna Klean. So when did you get into cannabis?
So I got into cannabis. I mean, I smoked my first time. I was like 14.
No
But,
shit.
Yeah, I was young.
What year was that?
It was the summer between like 8th and 9th grade.
I'm
so
just trying to think what year it
probably
is.
Probably like 2000, 2001.
Man,
or
I
something,
know I'm
maybe.
old when you
Yeah.
hear that.
Maybe
Yeah,
something like
man.
that. Yeah. And I
Rob
you
was
know,
already smoking for like 30 years.
No, I've been smoking for 45 years.
There you have it.
Yeah. He's a seasoned vet.
Yep, definitely.
Started
And
smoking in 81.
Yep, I was born in 85, so
There you go. I was smoking.
yep.
84.
The
just
weed
turned
had a lot of
40.
seeds in it. I'll tell you that.
How times have changed, huh, Rob?
Oh, yeah. And then the Sensimilia came out and everything changed.
Mine was 1990.
No, it was like
Freshman year.
1983, 84. The Sensimilian came out.
The Sesamilia?
Sensimilia.
You liked it?
Oh, everybody loved it. We went crazy.
Seedless, yeah. It was like a big thing.
Well, that's when the real change started going, and then the '90s stuff started. You know, there was nobody wanted to. You wouldn't buy. They called it kind bud. Remember the switch?
Yep.
They called it kind bud. It didn't have seeds in it.
Yep.
And then that was like the big switch, and everybody went from buying the regular weed with the seeds in it to just the female weed.
So what about when hydro first came out, right? So how much mold was in friggin' hydro?
Oh, tons.
It could be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, honestly,
it all
It
depends.
depends on their practices. You
It's-
know, that's the thing. It's like
So where's Canna Klean located out of?
Franklin, Mass.
Franklin,
Yes,
Mass?
we're out of Franklin. Yep.
And how long you guys been in business?
Been in business for a year and a half now.
Are you guys doing good?
Yeah, we're doing good. Yeah, we're a subsidiary. So we're my business partners, Matt Short and Ed Short. They own Flood Fire Pro Incorporated, and Ed Short started Flood Fire Pro in 1989. So when I tell you these
Does
guys
Ed
have
smoke
been-
weed?
No, they're not. They're not. They don't smoke weed. They don't not dislike weed. They're just not really into it. They like helping weed facilities, and they met me because I'm a cultivator at a facility they were hired to fix. And we got to talking, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to make this arm off my company called Canna Klean because I think there's a need for this in the industry.
Yeah.
And I'm going to create this process where I use, botanical-based products and chemistries that are allowed to be used in cannabis facilities and will be approved by science teams." So he did that, and I said, "Listen, if you do this, I'd really want into the company." So he basically hired me on. I'm the COO. I run it for him. I deal with boots on the ground type stuff. I go into
Day-to-day
facilities.
operations.
Yeah, everything. Because I know how to talk to the cultivators and to the owners.
you know
and
the gig.
operators. Yeah.
So how
yeah.
does somebody that doesn't smoke weed know nothing about weed get into that?
Like he just told you.
Well, he got hired with Flood Fire Pro to fix a cannabis facility.
Oh my
And
God.
he had already worked on a couple others.
paying attention.
He's all right. He worked
Ricky
on
was filling his beer.
Somebody get Rick a drink.
He's drinking
good.
again.
I need
He's
a
drinking
timeout.
again. Don't he? On repeat.
That's all good. But he worked on a few before that, 2 smaller spots, and then he was hired into a company that I was working for at the time, and I was the head cultivator there. So we worked side by side for a year because there's a lot of logistics involved. When
Right.
you're doing a remediation while you're growing in there, and you have to compartmentalize rooms, you have to put things under negative air containment with HEPA filtration. So like
Block off areas.
exactly,
Seal off.
exactly, because you're protecting the people that work in the building with clean air, and you're also protecting the plants and the genetics.
Right.
Because that's people's bread and butter.
And you don't want this shit to spread once you stop
Correct.
pulling it open too. So
Yep. So like for example, if we compartmentalize one grow room, they would shut down that grow room. There'd be no plants inside. We would come in. Usually we use scissor lifts depending on the height.
People
of
are
it.
horrified, huh?
Oh, it's a scary thing for people because people know that mold is dangerous. For example, like Springfield, Mass. I mean, maybe a couple years ago, I don't know if you guys heard about that.
True Leaf.
No. Springfield was actually just the, I think it was like the town offices that were in Springfield, Mass. I think if I remember
Okay.
correctly, people died from mold.
Really?
Oh
Which
yeah,
one
black,
was it?
black mold's
Yes.
bad, right?
Black mold's very bad. It's the chronic exposure to mold. So if you go into a building every day and there's mold in that building, you're breathing it. You have long-term effects. You have cancers. It's carcinogenic. Some of these molds give off mycotoxins, endotoxins.
That's what Jeff was saying.
Yeah,
and them
it's dangerous
No
shit.
wonder why real estate in Springfield's so cheap.
Jeez.
they got the people
Look
fading out at the
look
town hall.
Springfield, though.
You can still get shit over there for like 80, 90 grand.
Yeah.
Rick, I didn't see you buying a house in Springfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what happens when you allow things to keep going. Like if
You're not on it.
If you're not on it, but the thing is, like, that's why, like, any industrial building or any large buildings, like, taking tests periodically protect the people that work in the building, protect your consumers that are consuming the plants. So, like, what it costs, like, you bring an industrial hygiene team in, it might cost you $4 or $5 grand to have a workup done on like a, we'll say 10,000 square foot place, right? I'm just making this up. I'm not quoting jobs because it's not, they're a third party. But what if it's 4,500, $5 grand? Even if you did that twice a year, 10 grand that you're putting in to know you're going to get clean weed out of the building all the time, and you know that the people working in the building aren't going to get sick.
A safe.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Or you think
for
that
me.
would
Probably good for insurance purposes
It's
too.
very good.
Yeah, but you think
they
that would
probably
certify it for the insurance company? You know what I'm saying?
Yep, but
Look-
they don't. You know what I mean? And like that's things that like I've talked to different insurance companies, and Canna Klean would love to get into an insurance package and help. Like if they insure a cannabis facility,
Oh yeah.
Right.
we help them make sure that they're maintaining the space properly, which helps liability,
Workman's
helps your
comp,
product,
like this
workman's
health
comp.
stuff. If people are fading out, dying,
Seriously, yeah, because OSHA
having a
yeah.
seal of a clean facility.
Well, you don't want OSHA over.
No, but OSHA doesn't like touching weed very often.
OSHA
something-
won't go near that?
unless something really bad happens. Because the thing is, OSHA's a federal organization. If-
Oh, and a lot of these places are private entities.
weed's
it's
federally
state-
illegal.
Good.
Still
Keep 'em
only
out.
illegal on a state level. It's not federally. That's why you can't do federal bank and all that shit, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So like, and it's so federal regulation, they don't really love getting involved with cannabis because there's so much,
Right.
It's
Right.
just,
It's
it's
bu-
not,
yeah,
it's not really
you
okay
blame
with
them?
the
It's
government
mucky.
yet.
It's murky water there.
murky.
So where do you think this industry's going with all this mold everywhere?
Well,
I mean, hopefully we're gonna help fix it. That's been our goal. Is why we created the company, because we want to make this a national model and actually go across the United States and help all these different facilities with what we can do.
How far do you guys go now?
We'll go if the price is right and the job's big enough. We'll send guys wherever in the United States if we have to. But right now we're doing mostly New England, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Mass. We'll go to Jersey because Jersey market's starting up. We want to get in New York because New York's decent, but mostly outdoor at the moment.
what's the hot state right now? Where do you get most of your calls from? Where you
Probably
guys are
Mass.
from?
Mass right now because
Mass?
Mass has some of the hardest regs.
They got.
Honest to God, yeah, they're the hard. I think they're the hardest. Next to, I would say,
Isn't Washington or Oregon
Colorado.
have 10,000? Or
no. Oregon's not
They're
very hard.
100,000, right?
No. Oregon is they don't test for yeast and mold. I think they test for E. coli, salmonella.
Yes, that's
they
what it
They
is.
fought against
Aspergillus.
they fought against Aspergillus, the Growers Association.
Yeah?
and they got them to take it off for the time being. Yeah, so they had a pass fail. Like a pass fail test for Aspergillus is, in my opinion, preposterous. Like it's almost impossible to pass.
Okay.
Right. So they put this thing in and they forced remediation. Like that's what you're forcing. Like if you put a pass fail.
But they didn't. So after they went so hard on the pass fail, they didn't come in the middle. They just wiped it out after that.
Right now it's shut off. Yeah, there's no aspergillus testing out there. And in Mass, they don't test for aspergillus specifically. They test for 10,000 of yeast and mold, and then they test for the mycotoxin, which is aflatoxin and ochratoxins, which can be produced by aspergillus. So if you did have an aspergillus infestation,
you would have this.
You could. I think if it gets mature enough,
Okay.
the colonies are mature enough, it starts to create a mycotoxin. Or these aflatoxins, ochratoxins.
And it's only specific to aspergillus?
No, penicillium can do it. There's a couple
Okay.
mold species that can create these toxins, but mostly aspergillus and penicillium is where you'll see those two.
So they think
from
that
what
they
I
got it
understand.
covered by that, but it could not even be from aspergillus is what you're saying
Right.
still.
But my question, yeah, exactly. It could be from penicillium. But the thing is with aspergillus or any mold, right? As a cultivator,
Is penicillium bad?
yeah, penicillium can be bad. There's different strains of penicillium, right? Like citrinum, that can be penicillium citrinum, very bad. It's pathogenic. It can actually really hurt the human, if you smoked it or you ingested it, things of that nature. So with aspergillus or any mold species, right? With Massachusetts not telling you what species you're dealing with, you're just getting a 10,000 count, right? You're getting a count that says, okay, you're over 10,000, you can't sell the weed, or you're under. But what if it's 9,999 CFUs of
We're all set.
aspergillus, and it could be pathogenic? We don't really know that. I feel like Mass is behind. They should be species-specific testing. So if it should be like, okay, yes, you failed for yeast and mold, and these are the species we found, because it would help the facility figure out what the hell's going on in their facility. If not, it's like, okay.
Is there some yeast and molds that aren't harmful?
Yeah, I'm sure there are. There's some yeast and molds that aren't pathogenic.
Okay.
So the pathogenic ones are the ones that can like colonize an immunocompromised human.
Okay.
So like if a person has a cancer or something that's really lowering their immunities, it can actually colonize and give you aspergillosis. I could be saying that wrong. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah.
It colonizes the
sound like
lung
one.
tissue. I just learned a lot about mold.
How did you learn all this?
Just from being on the job with these guys,
Here's a-
like
here's-
honest to
here's a
God.
good
So
question.
these guys came to bat though. These short guys,
Yeah.
you met them through a job.
Yep.
And they were like, "We're gonna do a X, Y, Z."
Yeah, and then I said
they
I want in, and they brought me on.
and they've done X, Y, and Z. And
100%. Yep,
Oh, that's
great
a good-
guys. I love
that's-
working with them. Yep.
hell
So
yeah.
this could go really well for you.
I hope so.
I
what
hope
mean?
so,
Like,
too,
It's
but
like I
here's
took a
another-
leap of faith. I had my dream job. I was growing weed on scale. I had 18,000 plants. I had a team of 22 people. Like I loved the shit, right? I
Yeah.
fed off of that shit. It was great. Like being with the plant every day. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like this is my fucking dream.
When did you start growing it on a personal level?
On a personal level, I was like 17. Me and my buddy popped our first seeds.
Outdoor?
No, it was indoor.
Oh, no
yeah, It was
shit.
horrible. I mean,
Yeah.
it was terrible. We had a shop light in between two folding chairs. I had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
Just started
So-
popping seeds, learning shit.
So how do these just people that are growing the weed, how do they know that they have a mold problem usually? How do they figure it that all of a sudden one day they go, we're moldy?
Two ways, right?
Okay.
One, they're seeing it on their lab reports. They're going to start seeing an inflated level of yeast and mold on their flower, right? Or two,
Yeast and mold.
it could be. I say that because it's the same category. on
By
the
then,
test.
it's already too late.
Yeah, it could be too late, but it's also the second way is the people that work there could be complaining about health issues or about the way they feel, allergies, people who are allergic
Really?
to mold. Absolutely. You'll get headaches, you'll get chronic issues. So or the third way is you can visibly see the mold. You literally, like you'll walk into a room and
You'll
be like,
see it
there's
on the
black
ceiling?
mold. I go into grow rooms, there's black mold next to plants growing. Yeah.
So when mold is black, it's not dead?
No, I mean, it's a thriving colony. Sometimes it's three-dimensional. It's embossed off the wall. I mean, you know what I mean?
you literally
Like,
could take the
fuzzy,
mold-
You know?
Really? That bad?
The shit I've seen
So you
in
could
some of
take
these
the mold
places is
and look
wild.
at, you could take the mold and take a microscope and see that stuff, like really see it.
You can see it with your naked eye right there. Like if that was the wall, I could stand here and be like, you have mold on your wall or a mildew or something.
love the
that's
stores I'm in.
colonizing. Yeah.
You would think they'd be a little bit more
Vigilant.
cleaner.
Vigilant.
Facilities.
It's
So do you think it's so a lot of these facilities, so a lot of them have converted existing, structures
yep.
into grow facilities.
Yep.
Are a lot of these places with the issues because it's an existing building and they have a lot of, we were talking about it before, what does mold need to live? What you said, moisture, a food, and
temperature, like a microclimate that's conducive to its growth.
Okay.
Yep. If it has those things and a spore gets in, it's going to perpetuate itself.
You'd probably be really good at growing mushrooms.
Yeah, I mean, I tried once when I was younger. I got the jars to colonize, and then it contaminated, so I couldn't
How long
get...
does it take for mold to grow?
Mold, it can start growth within 48 hours, so very quickly. But that doesn't mean you're going to have a colony the size of that wall in 48 hours. That means you're going to have growth beginning. And then if it has those things, that food source, the temperature, and the water and moisture level it needs, now it can rapidly grow. And if it's warmer, think about like an incubator. Like when you plate something, like on agar to test like mold, for example, they'll put it on an agar plate. They incubate it for 48 hours or 72 hours even. And they incubate it at a certain temperature and it rapidly grows. That's why they incubate it, because they want to know, they want to give you a count at the lab and know, okay, how long does this, what's actually on your flower, or what's actually on your wall. They do a swab or whatever, they'll plate it on agar, and then the agar contains a food source. Sometimes it's like sucrose or whatever it is that each plate is specific to the species you're trying to grow on it. So like enterobacteria has a different food source than yeast and mold plate.
Okay.
Right? Because you're feeding it different things. And the scientists know what to feed it to make it grow rapidly on the plate so they can test what's actually on the plate quickly.
Right.
Because it's rapid turnaround.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's the goal.
So that must be a little sticky, though, these customers trying to call you and admit and you say, hey, I got a fucking mold problem.
They never tell me that right away.
Yeah, but
They usually
they'll say,
play
I heard about your services, and I would like to talk to you about your cleaning services or something. Like, they never tell me like, oh, I have a mold problem, because they don't. Obviously, I'm a trustworthy guy. If somebody tells me
they think
have
you're
a
gonna
problem,
like.
I'm not blabbering around everybody. I'm not a narc. I'm not here to get you in trouble for your business. I'm here to help you fix your business. If not, I'm out of fucking business. I don't have a job.
So how does that go?
It's almost like an STD.
We smell something a little
You know what I'm
funky.
saying? Yeah. It's almost like an STD when you go to the doctor. You're like, well, got a little pain down there, a burning sensation.
Probably hangover headaches, but
I don't know
just
what
in
happened.
case.
And I was, I used a public toilet.
Yeah, seems like you've been
I'm
there.
burning. You're like the fire department.
Okay,
You're here to help
that
them.
simple. You know what I mean? Like, so really, it's like, okay.
Yeah, you were pretty adamant about that. We're not naming names,
fuck that.
But we
No,
just want to
it's
let
respect,
consumers know. Yeah,
Yeah,
we just want to let them
yeah,
know
it's
like
respect.
what's out there and what
100%.
There's
how
just
it
some
affects
places that
certain
Matt's
policy.
not going anymore.
So the people that
Follow me around.
the people that you helped, are they the people that you have helped? Are they very appreciative?
Yeah, definitely. Very appreciative. Yeah.
Because I mean, when you got a room that's say whatever canopy of growth, and you lose that canopy, that's when you lose a month, that's
it's
got to be
major
huge.
money. It's major money, because the other thing is, how long does it take you to fix the problem and then reset the room? Because the room has a
it's a
specific
cycle.
downtime.
You get right in there and hit it, huh?
We hit it right away. Yeah, we bring a big crew in. You know what I mean? So we can do it quickly.
Like 10 guys.
Yeah, sometimes 15. It depends.
Wow.
And you have to have it under containment for 48 hours for mold legally. So
Right.
you have to have it under HEPA filtration.
2 days.
2 days.
Oh, okay. Okay, so once you get in there though, and if you see mold, are you by law have to tell the state about mold?
No.
No, okay,
it's nothing
okay.
like
No, we
that
don't
at
tell
all.
the
We're
man.
Not like mandated
Not
reporters.
yet.
Yeah,
Not yet.
No, we're not mandated reporters. No, fuck that. We don't work.
There's
for
no
the state.
ratting out in
Yeah.
this
No,
company.
we're our own. We're
Yeah,
our
these
own
guys
company.
don't rat, they don't
Yeah, we
roll.
don't
No,
rat.
I'm a grower.
They-
I've been growing my whole life. Like
Right.
selling weed and all that shit since I was a
You're-
kid in
you're
the high
just-
school parking lot. Like,
You're just trying to fix the
you gotta have
problem.
growers code, which
Right.
means you don't fuck the guy over. You help him,
Yes.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And then it's a natural respect. You know what I mean?
But some of these people that like you're like, fuck, these guys are really assholes. I
I
don't
deal with
want to
assholes
be
sometimes.
I don't want to be helping them. Like
No, I've dealt with it. I've actually we've walked away from work. Honestly,
because they just want you to put a little lipstick on a pig.
Yep, and we're like, no, it's because we do it ethically. We have a specific process. We bring in the industrial hygiene team, and if people don't want to do it the right way, we're like, listen, good luck.
Well,
Right.
then you guys can get blamed
this then.
because
know
you
what I
can
mean?
get
Don't bring in
blamed
the
after the
expert.
fact, right? They can kind
100%.
of come blame you for it after the
You
fact.
have to be
and
very
say you guys didn't clean it right.
So that's where the industrial hygiene
Clorox.
team that protects us, though, because what happens is you get preliminary tests, what tells us what's in the environment, where it's located, what levels are at, and what species we're dealing with. So then we come in and target all those zones. We do the full scale remediation. When we're done, the room stays under containment. The air movers get shut down for a period of time. the industrial hygiene team comes back and they try to test and make us fail. They literally go in and they look at every nook and cranny. They look in different areas. They do tests again, air samples, tape lifts, swabs in random areas. If we fail, we have to re-remediate the room until we're done again.
Another
And then they
48
come back.
hours?
Yeah, 100%. We've done it. We failed a room before and had to re-remediate a 9,500 square foot room.
Have you gone into a facility where it is their first major crop and they're growing in mold and they have no idea? So it's almost like a no-brainer to hire you guys before they start their crop.
Yeah,
just to
that's-
make sure that there's.
Well, a lot of these guys have no money left, though. That's the problem,
Yes.
Rick.
I know, but
I
then
have
you're not going to
done-
make any at all.
So I have done
Well-
one good sized job though, right? That was what you're saying. So basically, there was a new build, 100% from the ground up. There was not a retrofit. Beautiful build, and I actually started talking to the director of cultivation. He brought me in to do a post construction cleaning and decon before he brought plants in the building. So we came in to a brand new build, brand new raw build, all the racking systems in there. It was a vertical build, right, with LEDs. We came in with our crew with lifts, and we did a full cleaning from top to bottom in the entire room, in the entire place, dry rooms, offices, everywhere,
Spotless.
spotless. Yep. And then we do a fogging process that goes through a plasma arc. It's insane. It was developed by DARPA, which
It
is the
cleans it
Department of
really
Defense.
good.
It's insane. They've developed this
What do you
technology.
mean?
They developed this technology to neutralize anthrax back during the anthrax scares.
No shit.
Yeah, they
So
use it
is-
in hospitals. Yeah,
So
it's
is it a
crazy.
good process to even bring you guys in between crops?
Oh, that's so we do flower room turnovers. Actually, that's great you said that. So we offer a service where you cut down your weed, you're done, you get all the plant material out because we can't legally touch plant material unless we have a badge in Massachusetts, right? So we can't touch leaves, we can't touch plant material legally. So what we do is we come in after you've removed that and we do a top-down cleaning. We clean your grow tables. We have prices for that on our website, which is I built an estimator on the website. So you can go and actually plug in your facility metrics, how much you're currently paying in labor to your actual sanitation team, and it'll show you how much the ROI is having Canna Klean come in and handle it in 1 to 2 days versus having your sanitation team that you have to pay workman's comp, insurance. There's a labor burden, right? When you hold a team.
And plus, I'm sure you're going to guarantee that it's clean.
Yeah, we clean. I mean, the cleaning work we do is really good. And when we leave, the point is to bring that room to baseline. So when you reload that room, you have 8 or 9 week cycle. You're not worried about a mold colony. You're not worried about your HVAC being contaminated. You know everything's actually.
You clean the HVAC too?
Yeah, sometimes we third party it depending on what it needs to be done, because you have to be certified through a certain certification program in America for cleaning ducts.
Yep.
So we'll bring in companies that are certified. We'll outsource certain things.
Yep.
So we don't actually handle every single aspect to it. Sometimes we'll bring in a third party depending on.
So how do they clean HVAC stuff with like
they
ozone or something? They pump it through?
no, they don't use chemicals at all. Actually,
No,
use-
they got proprietary blends here.
yeah. but-
Relax with your big words.
No, they put a
These guys got
no,
proprietary
Rick, they put a
blends.
HEPA
ripping
filter.
out big words.
They-
There's
they
no
do.
idea.
No, they put a HEPA filter on
They
one
do.
side, and they blow air through it with brushes,
They blow it
and then
out
they
with
blow a
brushes.
chemical through it.
Yep. Yeah. Supposedly they're not using the chemical anymore, is what I heard recently, because it can mess with different things inside the HVAC depending on what's in there.
Well,
substrate
yeah, but the
Yeah,
wise.
but
problem-
ozone would kill everything.
But it also kills the internals because it's highly reactive and it's an oxidizer. So if you ozonate an HVAC system over time, it breaks your seals down and your gaskets down because ozone's very, very strong as an oxidizer.
Not
So-
in cars, though. Not
No,
in
no,
cars.
no. Perfect.
There's already a problem.
Oh my god!
Not in cars. There's a lot of seals in cars. Not in cars.
Hey, we'll have to cut that part. We'll cut that part out. We'll
Yeah.
cut that part
No,
out.
the metal that they use for these HVAC system is not stainless. A lot of
cutting
people they
this
use
out.
metal, and it's
Aluminum,
reactionary.
aluminum.
Let's get back
Yeah.
to the buildings.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you know, it's not. It should be
Yeah,
stainless.
the HVAC systems, like I went in facility recently, the coil was colonized. So I had an industrial hygiene team go in,
Yeah.
take tape lifts off the actual coil inside the HVAC unit. right?
Okay.
That coil was colonized with
Oh,
mold.
yeah.
So now you're blowing mold because all these facilities, they recycle air. Most of them recycle air, right? So because you're keeping a sealed room, you don't want bugs getting in from outside, so you're not inducting fresh air.
Right.
So they're recycling and conditioning the air that's in the
Yeah,
space.
they're remolding the spot.
Well,
it's like a
they
big
could
mold
be.
spore.
They could be.
Rob,
So
you must got a bunch of mold then dealing with all the HVAC stuff.
Oh,
So do you guys-
all over the place.
Oh my
you must see it
God.
all
Every
the time.
store I have.
Have to connect the ozone machine.
Every store I
I see it all
have-
the time. I go
Clean your
into.
Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
yeah, you open up the knee knockers. and
forget
you
it.
pull- oh, they're
The
nasty. in there.
cases.
Yep.
The
Yep.
walk-in coolers got
Oh, yeah.
mold all over the walls.
Yeah, it happens.
And it's every supermarket. I don't care what supermarket you're in now. There's mold in every supermarket.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
Butcher
crazy.
shops. Oof.
Well, it's crazy because as moisture gets in, I mean, you're
You can
running a
s- every- you can
refrigerated
s-
unit. You
So
know?
next time you go into a supermarket, open the milk cooler and look up.
I've seen
You'll
it
see mold
recently.
in every cooler in America.
Yep, he's right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
That's
see it all the
bad.
time.
It's just
Yeah, but it's not bad for you.
infiltrated everything. So there's an
You
infestation.
have no idea
It's nasty.
in the supermarket what's going on there.
Yep.
So
No
do you guys
idea.
advertise for consulting too? And where
Yeah.
do they go to find you? You guys got a
Yeah, we
website?
have cannaclean.com. Yeah, it's clean with a K. So it's Canna, CANNAKLEAN.com.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're on there. And
Phone number?
877 mold now. That's a good ad.
Yeah, you'll be all right.
In about 5
877-907-0160.
877 mold now.
Do you get a lot of people through the internet, right?
Oh,
And-
yeah. Most people
and
find
referral?
us. Yeah, referral. And, we do a little CRM stuff too. A gentleman's working on that for us. So doing
What's CRM? You
I
complicated me.
I forget the acronym, but it's like email marketing.
Okay.
So like you can send emails out to different people
Blast.
and target, but specific target to
Yeah.
different areas of the cannabis industry. We paid into software that you can see
Yep.
the operators and all
Yeah.
that.
Oh, that's
So
dope.
it's pretty cool. Yeah. So
And
we
you-
can use that.
What are some of the biggest causes of mold? And you said a lot of these places were re-outfitted.
Yeah.
And what are some of the most causing like foods of the mold? Like
Yep.
what type of building materials are no bueno?
Drywall, number
you know?
one.
Drywall?
Yeah, that's the
What
number
about
one.
insulation?
Insulation, actually, technically, mold won't really eat fiberglass. So
Right.
insulation wouldn't.
But the paper.
The paper, it eats the backing of the drywall, which is the paper pack. In the front is gypsum. And on
Yep.
the back, it has that paper.
Yeah, it's
when you
black.
store it and you cut it. Yeah, and then that basically what happens is it wicks. So, for example, if there's a water damage, which happens all the time in cannabis facilities because an irrigation line will break off and nobody's there. And the next day you come in and you have a
And it wicks the
puddle,
whole wall.
a massive. Yeah, I've literally gone into a facility where there's 300 gallons of water on the floor, like a pump let go and let a tank drain onto the floor. So now if your cove basing's not sealed correctly, now the water is infiltrating underneath your cove basing, right? And then it starts to creep up your drywall. It wets that
And it wicks
drywall
it.
backing, and now you have mold growth.
They don't have drains in there.
No, some of these places don't have drains. Some places have floor drains.
It'd be
but it
retarded not
depends.
to have a floor drain.
It's not the best choice, but the problem is with the
Not smart.
No, what the problem is with the floor drains too is the floor drains are basically also a vector for disease. So you have flies that can colonize the floor drains. Now, if it's for example, like a fungus gnat, they colonize a floor drain. They love moisture, so they'll lay
Right.
their eggs there, and then you start seeing these fungus gnats come out. Now these fungus gnats are landing on your flower sites. Sometimes they can contain bile-tolerant gram-negative bacteria that's coming from your floor drain. And
Right.
that's the thing about insects. You always want to keep insect pressure down in a cannabis facility because they can move disease.
Well, a lot of these
know
floor
what I
drains
mean?
they have.
Right.
Yeah, but a lot of these floor
So
drains.
floor drains no bueno in a
No,
grow.
not necessarily.
No, they have
I don't like curtain drains, the long ones that go across like big
the
runs.
square grates.
Yeah, with the grates.
Yeah, but a lot of these drains are all required of like law to have trap primers. So every hour
do.
it comes in and reprimes the trap.
Yeah, some in the cannabis facilities, a lot of it's manual. I've seen in some of these places, like people are just dumping bleach down them to clean them, or it's not super advanced. Let me put it that way.
No,
But,
bleach kills everything.
Yeah, I mean it kills some stuff.
Bleach does the village.
Yeah, but it's crazy. Like the drainage system needs to be cleaned, and you need to keep up with it because that's
Right.
in your grow room. That's right underneath your grow tables, and your plants are right there.
And the bugs are flying out of the drain.
Oh, I've seen it. I've seen the
believe it.
fungus gnats. They get out of control. And in Massachusetts, you can't really use a lot. You have a very limited toolbox in your pesticides that you can use
Right.
to fight these things because they don't allow many things in Massachusetts, which I think is a good thing as well.
Right.
And a lot of people use biologicals. They'll release good insects to fight off the ones they don't want. So you always are having a natural level of insects in the rooms. Like we would be releasing beneficial mites, rove beetles, all these different species of bugs that are creating a defense. So if you do have a bug get in, like a spider mite or a russet mite or something that really could cause you a lot of grief in your grow, you have a defense now that will attack that. You know, that's
Right.
the idea of it. It's basically creating that natural defense. Which is
Wood
pretty
must
cool.
be bad. So there's like a lot of mills
you're
that they
talking about
redid
Wood's bad.
through Massachusetts, like Holyoke.
Yeah, I've actually
lot of them
I've
places.
been in a bunch of the Holyoke mills. They're all old paper mills.
Right. So it's all
Yep.
wood. So
It's wood, and wood is very, very conducive to mold growth.
Oh,
if it's
yeah.
not sealed.
Right.
It's an organic material. If it gets moist, a spore lands on it, it can
Right.
actually thrive right on that, right on the beams. I've seen it. Yeah, I've gone up into attic spaces. I've gone into many buildings with some serious infestations. I've seen also another interesting one was mercury fails. People started seeing mercury fails in a mill.
the heavy metal.
Well, yeah, because in the paper mill production,
In the floorboards.
they used mercury in the production of
Coming up through the
pulp.
floor, the water.
So mercury is a heavy metal, so it infests the soil around the building, and then it gets into your water system. And then you bring it in, and now your plants are taking it up because cannabis is like a phytoremediator, whatever you call it, a bioremediator. So like they use hemp and things like of that nature
Make the land
to
clean.
clean up heavy metals. So if you have a heavy metal getting into your cocoa, now your plant is pulling it up, and heavy metals don't flush. You can't flush them out. Once the plant pulls
It's
it up,
in there.
it's in there.
It's
Right.
thrown in the trash.
Well, if your levels are too high, yes, it has to go in the trash because when you go to extract it, you'll actually concentrate the levels of metals.
Nice.
Okay.
So it gets even worse in the extraction.
So
You know what I mean? So like you're screwed at that point.
so you've been with Canna Klean with these guys, the short brother. Are they brothers?
No, they're father and son.
Father and son.
Yeah, father and son.
Team.
Yep.
You were working at a grow when you met them. How long have you been in the mass? Have you been in the mass cannabis space since it started?
No, not since
The
I
rec
started.
market?
My first job in mass cannabis was 2018, and then I went back to the legacy market for a bit after that stint, and then I went in and worked for that other facility right around summer of 2019. So I took like a year and just
Yeah.
did my thing, and it was really good. It was a good year, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
a great year.
Yeah.
One of the best years I've had. Not having an actual job I had to go to every day, we'll call it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
was
So you
nice.
come from the market.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know about this term legacy. I gotta
No,
find
I
out
mean,
who invented that. I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't like every time I say it, just doesn't roll off my tongue properly.
Yeah, I don't love it either, but I try to be
Yeah.
correct.
But you know
with
what I'm
it.
saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what keeps your desire in the cannabis space? Like what keeps you here?
I mean, I like what it can do for people and the help, the form of help. I like smoking weed a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really enjoy the way it makes me feel. The
Yeah,
way it makes my brain work.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Makes me think clearly.
sync up.
Yeah, I do. I'm like that too. I think I'm a little ADD or something. Maybe you'll call it. So
Yeah.
it kind of like levels me out.
Maybe half the alphabet.
Yeah. Levels me out. So I've always enjoyed it. I was working with a gentleman that actually passed away back in like 2017. He had a Hodgkin's lymphoma. Family friend. He actually grew up with my parents, and
That sucks.
me and him kind of got to talking, and he's like, "Listen, I want to grow some weed in my house." So we started an operation together. So we started growing, and he couldn't work. So I was flipping some of it, and we'd split the dough. I helped him because he couldn't work.
Yeah.
And then also we were making the RSO for him and the FECO, full extract cannabis oil.
Okay.
So he was going through chemo at the time. So he was taking probably like 200-300 milligrams a day at the point we were at with him.
Yeah.
And I was helping him make capsules, and so like I really have got to see what it does for people who are going through.
How did
something
it
like
help
that.
him?
Helped him a lot. He actually. So the sad thing was he went into remission, and he went through a really strong series of chemos where they actually mixed multiple chemicals. It wasn't just one chemo. It was multiple. I
Gave him
don't
a
totally understand
cocktail,
it.
yeah.
It was a cocktail, and he was a big dude, right? Big dude. He ended up walking upstairs in his house, and he had a brain aneurysm because his body couldn't handle all the fucking shit they were pumping into him. So it wasn't. He didn't even
Jesus.
end up dying of the. They called it. They
cancer.
said that he died of the cancer because that's what they always say.
But he was in remission.
He was just getting into remission. He showed me the paperwork and everything. So like the cannabis I can't say that it's like it's the reason because he was going through chemo too, right? So there's probably a combination of things that were happening, and I'm no doctor, right?
Right,
But I just know that my buddy, like,
You've seen him
he felt better, and he was getting through those serious fucking treatments. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was a super bummer when that happened because we still had a run going at his house.
Right.
So like it was like a sad day when I had to harvest that alone. You know what I
That
mean?
sucks.
Like, yeah,
That's
it sucked. You know?
terrible.
Yeah. So it was a shitty situation.
How
but
old was the guy?
54.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, he was young. You know? Yeah, he was a young dude.
I'm 57.
Too young in my
Bugging.
opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I
You
mean?
look good for
yeah,
57.
yeah, too young.
Other than the llama
He was
look
too
today.
young, you know?
Yeah.
So,
You look good.
So you got passion behind this. So.
yeah, 100%.
Like
You
alpaca.
know, and that's why like I get into
Smoking
this.
some
I
weed
get
here,
into the seed.
motherfucker.
Yeah, I got into the seed stuff, like, you know, making seeds and things, and like.
Oh, so you've made your own genetics?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've made a lot of my own genetics. There's a couple strains in Mass floating around at a couple facilities.
Oh, cool.
Highmark Provisions, they run my cake grenades. They hunted it and they run their own pheno that they found in my
Yeah.
back seeds.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and then Aruna runs Strawberries in Space that I created as well.
Oh,
up in,
that's cool.
Lee, Mass. Yeah, so that's
Oh,
pretty cool.
hell yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of like one of my goals in life. I was just try to like, you know, get some different strains into
So
some
you're
people's
in it.
hands. Yeah, I love it. That's like my hobby.
Yep.
So like at first I was selling seeds for a little while. I thought it was a cool thing, and like now like I'm realizing that like, you know, in a tent or like, you know, even in a small space, you can produce a lot of seeds, right? So something I started
Right.
doing was like I just give them away. Like I just started like helping people that like can't afford them or something like that. Like I'll just like
Yep.
I'll say it cost me like $5 to send somebody seeds, like, you know, with like tracking. Literally, it's like $5 or $6. I can send them to California for that.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's like $5 or $6 to help somebody out.
Yeah.
That like maybe is like unfortunate or like, you know, doesn't have the ability to like get around and like, or they're afraid to buy seeds online or like whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll give me feedback, and then
Okay.
I'll learn like, did I make something that was sound and was good and like people actually like or not?
Right,
You know,
right,
like
right.
at first I was selling them, but it's just like, I don't know. I got like, it's cool, but at the same time, it's like, what if something herms out and it ruins somebody's room, or what if, you know, like my cultivars weren't worked enough for sale in my
Well, if it herms out on them, they weren't washing their plants properly, number one.
or I bred an unstable genetic.
It
which
happens.
Can happen. Yeah, definitely.
So you
know?
take pride in this work.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys sometimes are just crossing it and sending it out. and
Young
charging
That's what they do.
Frankenstein.
That's what
In
they
it
do.
for the dough.
$150, $200 for a 10-pack,
Oh, I've bought
11
them.
pack.
I bought them in the whole pack herms, and I'm
Yes.
like, from reputable growers,
Right,
from
right,
reputable breeders,
right.
and I'm like, damn. And it's because the thing is everything was like a speed to market game for a while, especially in the seed game. So like so many different breeders came on because once the farm bill happened in like 2018,
Yeah.
everybody felt comfortable shipping seeds. So all these banks opened, right? Because you were able to sell seeds because it was under that 0.03 THC limit. So seeds became hemp,
Right.
even though they were THC varietals.
Kind of like
Right.
the COVID shot, the Russian
geez.
market.
Yeah, a bunch of garbage out there, too.
Yeah.
You know, there's
And the
some reputable
boosters.
guys out there, but there's a lot of fake.
There's a lot of fake, yeah. So like that's the thing is like, and even like some of the reputable ones, they
don't
still
know.
They still do the speed to market thing. They're like, okay, I crossed, you know, this cultivar I've been holding for a while with this one, and like they'll send it out. And like if it's like a 30% plus herm rate, like they shouldn't be sending that.
Right.
In my opinion.
Right, right.
For a $200 pack or $150
Yeah.
pack, it's like
Some of them are up there.
it's big coin for, you know, for just
$500 packs.
it's basically buying a lottery ticket. When you buy a pack of seeds, you basically
it's like
bought a
hitting
lottery,
a
ticket.
ticket.
Yeah, you might as well buy some Pokemon trading cards, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the ones that are worth something.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yep.
So a lot of these places you've been going into, it's all retrofits.
A lot of them.
So is that like almost you're gonna have a problem in a retrofit facility almost?
I think it's a
Guaranteed.
ticking time bomb. I think that if you don't do maintenance cleanings and you don't pay attention to what you're supposed to be paying attention to for facility sanitation, I think over time there will be an issue that rears its head. It's hard to say how long, right?
Right.
And it's also comes down to what happened in the facility. Did the electricity go out for a period of time?
48
Did you
hours.
get high
No
humidity
thanks.
events that happened, right? Every time you have a high humidity event, we recommend that you clean properly. So we would come in and do HEPA vacuuming. We would HEPA vacuum all of the substrate, right? Because you had moisture.
Here comes the
Moisture.
sugar cubes. That's when you know
Yeah.
it's good.
You'd have
You
moisture
know you're
on
high
that
when you have
substrate.
to have a sugar.
Yeah.
So like, for example,
So how long? What's the time? What's the ticking time on if you lose power and you don't have a generator backup immediately.
48 hours.
Within
like,
2 hours, you're getting a rainstorm. Like if you have a room full of hundreds of plants or
Yeah.
even 1,000 plants, depends on what your facility's like. If you have
Right.
a large format grow room
Yeah.
or if you have compartmentalized rooms, right? Those rooms are hitting a critical RH within 2 hours because the plants are still transpiring. They're still living no matter what you do. And it's now the heat is warming up the room.
Yeah.
Because usually, sometimes when this happens, you have ambient temperature coming off your lights. So for example, if your lights are on and your electric goes out, the lights shut off, but now they're radiating that heat off the heat sinks if they're LEDs or off the actual ballast itself if they're
Yep.
HPS.
Yep.
Right? So now that heat load and basically so you have a temperature rising at the same time your RH is rising. So you're hitting like crazy levels. The plants are not happy
2 hours.
whatsoever.
If there's mold,
you know,
So
if
it doesn't
there's-
matter how clean you are. You're always going to need a cleaning maintenance.
100%.
Always,
all the
regardless.
time.
I don't care how
Relative
old you are.
humidity with a dew point of 100 degrees.
Yep. So it gets really, really bad quick. So like once those bud sites start to sweat, if there is mold and microbials already on there, now they're going to proliferate. And really, like what I recommend to people is, so say that happened to you in like week 5, week 6, right? You got good sized bud sites growing, right? They're good size at that point. They're stacked up, right?
Yeah,
They're not,
yeah.
they're big. So you have those things growing, right? Now, what I recommend is you take what I call fresh flower samples, right? This thing's really nice.
Yeah, right. You can sit on that,
No,
man.
no.
Yeah,
So I'm lit already. I'll take it.
Yeah,
it's
we're
good.
fucking getting retarded here. No, thank you. I just
really
had a
good.
sugar cube here.
yeah. Why you a little high?
Now, I'm thinking,
Yeah,
here's what I was thinking, right?
Let me
Here's
finish
what
that
I was
thought.
thinking.
I forgot what I was saying, but
You got him Steamberg.
no. I remember now. So
He's on it. This guy's sharp. This guy ain't no joke.
so the weed, right?
It's like an opium den in
You
here.
send a fresh flower sample to the lab ahead of time. You're not going to wait until week 9 when you harvest and hope, right? Like you need to know what happened to your flower during that electrical outage. The way to know that is to test your flower ahead of time. I would test at that week 6 point. I would test again at week 8. And what you can see is a couple different things. Number one is the mold and microbial levels rising between those 2 weeks. And number two, are your pesticide applications that you're using to combat this issue working or not? How do you vet what you're spraying on the plants? The only way to vet what you're spraying on the plants to know if it's even working is by testing the flower.
Right.
That cuts into
Is
corporate
that flour
profits. though.
salvageable?
The flower could be salvageable.
Through
It depends.
remediation, your ozone machine, your
yeah,
cooker.
or sometimes it could be a application that they're using like a xeritol, like xeritol 2.0, which is like periacetic acid and hydrogen peroxide. That's a legal pesticide that's used in Massachusetts.
It's legal?
It's legal 100% through MDAR. Yes.
Because some of the stuff's not on the 20B list, but other people.
It's not just 20B anymore. Now it's 20B. It's 25B. I think it's called,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
25B. And then the 25B list plus anything that's registered through the EPA that's specifically for hemp and tobacco. And what MDAR says is you have to use it at the lowest rate possible. So, for example, xeritol 2.0, you look at the label is the law. The label says 100% it is used for tobacco and hemp. Therefore, you can use it in the cannabis industry in Massachusetts now.
Even though the cannabis CCC isn't through, is the
No,
CCC
MDAR
through?
regulates pesticides. That's the Mass Department of like Agriculture.
Okay,
They
so
regulate
this-
pesticides. The CCC enforces it.
Okay.
So some of these places.
CCC doesn't make the regs. Like
Yeah, I
with
know,
with
but-
pesticides,
okay.
they enforce
So
them.
the MDAR supersedes whatever they want to
100%.
say anyway.
MDAR supersedes with pesticides. Yep.
So they just tell CCC, hey, follow these guidelines.
Yes, because they're leaving the educated people that understand pesticides who run the hemp market to regulate the
But
cannabis
what about the
market pesticides.
tobacco business?
Well, MDAR doesn't deal with tobacco. I don't think.
But you said it's going to say for
no,
temp
it
or
has to
tobacco.
say for temp and tobacco. Yeah, because it's used on a smokable. That's why.
Yeah,
because
but the tobacco companies, they've lobbied
No,
for...
it's yeah, they've lobbied for a lot of bad shit. But when you're dealing with like xeritol, like periacetic acid and hydrogen peroxide, those are the two active ingredients. I'm good for a minute.
You know what? Hearing all this talk gets me thinking. Okay, let me make my point.
Go ahead.
I'm buying a fucking remediation machine.
He's turning
What
into
are you
Biden.
gonna remediate?
That's what happens.
Well, I'm just
He starts
thinking,
smoking, he turns into Biden.
all
That's
these
it.
strong
all
as
these
hell.
dispensaries need a remediation machine. If you just went around and rent this motherfucker, you'd
Yeah.
probably be rich.
Yeah, but even with the remediation machine,
So they rent them though too.
So are you your business Canna Klean in that space? Are you like first of its kind in Mass right now? Like
We're the first
catering
of its kind,
to cannabis
period.
industry?
There isn't another company doing what we're doing right now.
Okay, so you'd think with a lot of the facilities you've seen in these retrofits of existing structures, don't you think there would be more people needing your service?
There is, but it's like
Why isn't
it's building that trust factor, right, with the community, the cannabis community, because cannabis community is built on trust.
It sounds like they don't want to pay.
Guys coming in, they don't like to pay either.
There you go.
But they don't
That's what it
also
is.
don't want a bunch of guys coming in because everybody in cannabis is a lot of snake oil.
Yeah.
Right? So snake oil is a problem because everybody has the fix. I have this machine. You put it in the air. It filters the air. You'll never have mold, right? I have this spray. I have this
Does they have
pesticide.
ozone?
You spray on the weed, right? You spray it on the weed. You'll never have mold, right? There's all these different snake oils that don't necessarily always work the way that they're sold.
Yeah,
right?
but they sell.
right? Because
But they sell, or they realize later that they don't work.
I've
I gotta
seen a
get me some
filter
snake
company with
oil.
ozone regenerative like filters inside the
The
grow.
charcoal filters.
So, but you're saying if that's bad and it contacts the terps while the shit's growing, I could have.
Ozone, if you put ozone in the air and it's going to react with the VOCs, and you could be creating an aldehyde in the air. Yeah. I would rather breathe in terps than that, personally.
Yeah, so that's bad.
You know, and that's the thing too. Think about this too. Like, if,
That's why, because somebody told me not to use one of the machines, but I didn't quite get it.
yeah, the ozone
now-
machines are very dangerous
Now I understand fully.
for humans. Yeah, I would.
So if you don't have that, have an air change in a room with an ozone machine, the levels will build up of that stuff and would probably be
Toxic?
hazardous to
They
the
could
worker.
be, yeah. And if you're not paying attention to them, you're not testing for those aldehydes in the air. Yeah, it could become toxic. Anything could be. And the other thing too is like humans don't like even like when when the ozone levels go up outside, you get like the alerts on your phone and shit.
Yeah.
So like you don't want to breathe that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Oh, okay.
government's basically letting you know that the ozone levels or the air quality and the air index quality outside is very poor, right? So why would you bring a machine inside to create that what they're telling you to not breathe in?
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
like I'm
yeah,
just like
yeah.
fuck that. Why would I
Yeah.
do that?
I
Yeah,
never
you
got that
break it
I never
down.
got
My
that
boy
alert.
makes it simple to
You never got
understand
like the
here.
air index.
No, get him a machine and get him a canary.
Like, it's just-
You know
So
what I'm
these
saying?
facilities that you go into, right? You go
Yeah.
in, you're like, oh, man, this place got mold, right?
Yeah.
They're looking like a friggin' Chinese food restaurant kitchen.
They
You
got-
walk into those things. Those things are like
No, Chinese. Oh, Rick, hold on a second. Chinese kitchens are probably some of the cleanest kitchens out there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Rob's worked in a few refrigeration.
Listen, that was a plug for all the
What?
Chinese restaurants that he's putting in on the HVAC.
Yes,
shit,
I
man.
want some free chow mein.
like,
some
like I was
Peking
saying,
ravioli.
you walk in, you're like, hey, I'm coming back here because
And
their process is way
then-
off.
yeah, that's exactly right. Like
You guys just
And
make another
then-
appointment right away when you leave.
yeah,
We'll be back in like 8 months.
Yeah, sometimes it depends. Like a lot of the times it's like, so like with a grower, this is something we all have fucking egos, right? Just like chefs. Chefs
Yeah.
is very similar to a grower. It's like that's your product. That's what you're producing. Like you have a lot of pride behind that.
Right.
You want to be
You
the
you
person.
stand on it.
Yeah, and you want to be the person that can problem solve and fix any issues, right? But sometimes it's beyond your knowledge base or it's beyond your level of control, meaning it's a building issue, right? That's where like sometimes growers will tell like the higher ups like, "Listen, I got this. We can fix this," right? You have to be realistic with yourself though.
Realistic expectations, are we saying
Yeah,
here?
yeah, like realistic expectations, meaning like, is it an issue with the weed? Is it in your water lines? Is it something that you as a grower can handle?
These people can't
right?
figure this out themselves?
No, but they're not. But even with me, look at me, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know shit about mold until I had to work in a building with mold in it, and then I got to work with Matt Short and Ed Short, who have been dealing with mold since the '80s.
No shit.
See what I'm saying? Like
They know a lot about it.
They know all about it. They've been cleaning these buildings and facilities for these issues for years, right? Doing major ones, like big ones, in hotels, like stuff that you have a lot of liability.
I think this was good. I think we covered everything, man.
definitely.
Matt Iarussi, Canna Klean, Franklin, Massachusetts. If you got mold, you got issues in your grow, contact these guys.
877 got mold.
The website's cannaclean.com. It's clean with a K.
Canna Klean with a K on the
Yep.
And you
clean.
can reach out anytime. If you call the 877
Wait 1 second. Is it KLEEN?
KLEAN. Yep.
EAN.
Yep.
Okay.
Clean,
Because
yep.
I figured it would
I
have been.
told you.
I thought it was EAN.
I thought it was an A.
No, it's EAN. Yep.
Yeah.
Just like the word clean, just with a
yeah,
K.
I
Canna
even
Klean.
wrote it.
Yep.
What's
think
up,
we're good.
bitches?
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys having me.
I appreciate you coming down here, man. This was
definitely.
great.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
What's
to-
up,
Great.
Let me give
bitches?
one shout out to Luke too for hooking me up with this. 'cause
Yeah,
he introduced
remediation
us.
free, yeah.
Yep, certified remediation free. Yep,
Yeah,
so-
that's what it is.
Yep.
Certified
I say
remediation
remediate
free.
that motherfucker to death.
Oh my god.
No,
Christ.
fuck that. This other guy, Luke, yeah, he's got a whole thing going on too.
Five-star
does, he does,
remediation
yeah.
machine.
Yeah, I can't wait to get him on there.
Yeah. I hope he comes on soon. That'll be good. Thank you.
I got really fucking high.
Wake up in the morning, got a bag on my schedule. Niggas talking, bitches talking, they is not on my level. Check the time, wrist rolling, rose gold on the bezel. Grab my keys and get my cell and hit the door with a shovel. It's time to get it out the mud, 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 out the mud. It's time to get it.